who just had one of the most seismic weekends in Six Nations history. My name is Mark. Let's talk rugby. A massive weekend in this year's Six Nations and also in Six Nations history as well. We had teams getting firsts and also teams breaking records. It really was some weekend of rugby, and it's why we love the tournament. So what we're going to do here is we're going to quickly go through the results, and then we'll have a look at the table as well and how that leaves the overall championship as well. So that should be interesting. So we're not going to go too in depth in the games. If you want that, I've already got full length reviews of every one of the games, including stats and opinions and what happened, etc. When so if you want more in depth stuff, go for that. This is just kind of an overview of what happened. So we're going to start with the first game of the weekend. That was Ireland 27, Wales 17. And Ireland making a number of changes. They got a decent start to the game, but, couldn't really shake Wales off. And, Ireland did end up with the bonus point win. They got tries from Jacob Stockdale, Jack Crowley, Jack Conan, and Jamie Osborne. And then we had a penalty from Crowley and a couple of conversions from him. In reply, Wales, 2 tries, Rhys Carey and James Botham. Penalty from Dan Edwards and a couple of conversions from him as well. But for me, the absolute highlight of the game was Rhys Carey's try. Absolutely amazing. Front row union representing. He's gotten... That's his 3rd try now in this Six Nations. But the other 2 were from very close range. This one, he's on the edge of the 22. He pushes off Balakoon, and then he has the pace to get over. Balakoon does catch him, but it then becomes a physics problem where Carey has much more bulk than him, so obviously he's going to get down and over the line. But brilliant finish from him, and his awareness, but also just the pace that he had there, the initial acceleration to get through that gap, and then the ability to finish as well. He's some player in the loose, so really good there. It's kind of try that Dan Sheehan would have been proud of. Brilliant from him, but also good signs from Wales, that they are being a little bit more competitive, and they're causing issues for Ireland. Another thing as well is, Wales have had some of the fastest ball in this Six Nations, and they haven't really done a whole hell of a lot with it. That try for Carey aside, they haven't really been exploiting that, and it feels like there is another step forward for Wales. Whether that happens, during this Six Nations, or it's going to happen, the games are going to happen now with this new World Rugby World Rugby Tournament or wherever it is that's coming up in July. We'll have to see, but it does feel like they do have another step. Certainly another few steps to go, but it feels like, attack wise, maybe there's another step not too far away, because if they are generating that quick ball, they just need it feels like, they need that kind of a number of options for their scrum half to pick. And if they go from there, you could definitely see them improving even further. But, Ireland, they made their changes, but they got the win. They got the bonus point win out of it. I think had they known what was going to happen later or the next day at Murrayfield, they may have tried to maybe score a few more points, but at the same time, it wasn't really for the lack of trying. I thought Wales did really well to limit Ireland 2 to 4 tries. But yeah, not brilliant from Ireland, but got the job done, and a positive for Wales as well. Again, it feels like they're progressing through the tournament. And we'll talk about it, we've seen other teams going the opposite way through the tournament. So definitely got to be, happy with that performance. But, eventually they're going to have to come up with a result, and whether that's going to be against Italy in the final round, that's looking a little less likely given how well Italy are doing. But, every week in this tournament, it just feels completely different. But yeah, Ireland 27, Wales 17 was the final score there. Okay, so next then we have Scotland 50, France 40. Like, what a crazy scoreline. And like, Scotland were miles ahead in this game, and then France came back towards the end, first to get a losing bonus point. Or sorry, not a losing bonus, but a try bonus point. And then to, eat back into that, scoreline as well, the difference between the teams, which makes the job of retaining the title next week a bit easier for them. But, Scotland, absolutely out of this world. I thought Kyle Steyn was brilliant. Ben White, excellent at 9. The Scottish pack, absolutely delivering. Front row, I thought went well. The back row were exceptional, and they just brought that physicality that we rarely see, from the Scotland side, outside of a couple of players. But it felt like everyone was on it, and yeah, like they did brilliantly. Darcy Graham, out on his own now as the record try scorer after a couple for him as well. Yeah, and if we go through the try scorers, so Darcy Graham with 2, Kyle Steyn with 2, Pierre Schumann with 1, Ben White and Tom Jordan. Then Russell converted 6 of their tries, and added a penalty as well. That penalty with 3 minutes to go proved to be very important, because after that, France scored 2 tries and they got back to 10 points. And if you hadn't put that penalty over, they would have got back within a losing bonus point. And again, that job of retaining the title would have been a lot easier again, with another bonus point on top as well. But for France, we have tries from Louis Bielbieri, because he always scores when he plays. At the Sogbe with 1 as well. Dupont, Ramos with 2, and then Jegu with 1 there. And yeah, like, Scotland raced out to a massive lead, and best performance I've ever seen from Scotland. And I think is maybe the best performance in the history, like, of Scottish Test rugby. It's hard to think back to another one. Like, even when you think back to the 90s, when Scotland had a really good team in the old Five Nations, like, a performance this dominant, I can't think of one that they were like so far ahead and just kept going and going. And the only kind of negative about it is that they then took the foot off the gas in those last kind of 15 or so minutes, and then that allowed then France scored 4 tries in those last 15 minutes, including the bonus point try as well, and that's the only kind of negative from it. But overall, amazing performance from Scotland. France just completely fell apart, and it looked like at times they almost looked disinterested at times. Obviously, towards the end, they had that 15 minutes where they got those tries and put a bit of gloss on things from their point of view. But that's all it was putting gloss on it. But that may have a significant kind of impact on where the title goes in the end. But yeah, weird performance from France, really. But again, you got to give credit to Scotland, because Scotland, it's their performance that made France look so poor. And yeah, 1-23, completely outstanding from Scotland. Finn Russell, amazing as always. But then you look at France as well, and you've got obviously the gouging incident with Jegu. What's going to happen with that? That's an interesting one. And then Dupont, when he was going off the pitch, not very sportsmanlike from him either. And it feels like it was all pressure. The fact that their Grand Slam had gone up in smoke, like everyone was thinking that the way they played in the first 3 rounds, that they were almost handing them the Grand Slam ahead of time. But Scotland said, nope, don't think so. Produced absolutely amazing performance. And now, Scotland, I guess like second favourites to win the title now, and they have to be, with obviously France still the favourites. But France came into this weekend knowing that if they'd won this game with a bonus point, that was it. The title was sewn up. So they may still go on and beat England and retain that title, but there's still going to be, a lot of gloss is going to be taken off that because of this game here. And again, full credit to Scotland for absolutely amazing performance. And you would say now at this point, any pressure that was on Gregor Townsend following that loss to Italy is going to be completely evaporated. And he's probably at this stage now, you really can't see him being replaced before the Rugby World Cup. But Scotland 50, France 40, the final score there. Okay, now let's have a look at the final game of the weekend, and that was Italy 23, England 18. So neither team here produced maybe their best performance, but it was Italy who were able to produce the moments of quality, really, that got them the win. Almost blew it though, because they were leading coming up to half time, and it looked like they're basically going to go in at the break with a bit of a lead, but then kept playing when they could have got the ball off the field with the clock in the red to make it half time, and then that resulted in an English try just before the break that left Italy trailing at the break 12-10 rather than what was it, 10-5 or it was 10-5, right, that they were leading up until then. So yeah, costly mistake there, but they then produced again, like the real quality in the game came from Italy, like the Menoncello try in the first half, brilliant line from him, step, and then the pace to go over the power there as well. And then 10 minutes to go, where England are leading, you have a cross kick to Ioane, lovely step from him, then gives it to who was it? Menoncello, right? Menoncello down the wing, great strength from him, and then the ball inside to Marine, who goes over for what proved to be the winning score of the game. But then you got to give credit to Paolo Garbisi. He had a brilliant game, open play and from the tee as well. And then on the England side of things, so as I said, we had Menoncello and Marine tries for Italy, and we had Freeman and Roebuck for England, and then a couple of penalties from Finn Smith and one conversion as well. And, it looked like in that second half where England were just kind of eking away with those couple of penalties that Finn Smith got, in the second half to make it 18-10, that England were maybe going to win the game. And then we had a couple of yellow cards. We had Underhill, first of all, going to the bin for a high tackle. And then Itoje, just for absolutely stupidity, really, slapping the ball out of the scrum half's hands and going to the bin for that. And those two yellow cards overlapping. So England down to 14, then 13 for about 5 minutes, and then 14 for the remainder of the Itoje yellow card. And yeah, like the lack of leadership on the England team has to be like, a real worry. And, it was kind of noticeable that Jamie George was left on. He was brought on against Ireland because of feeling like there was a lack of leadership on the field for Cowan-Dickey. And this time he was left on because, Genge has already gone off and Itoje was in the bin. So he was the only kind of real leader that was left in the England team. So they couldn't take him off for Cowan-Dickey, even though Cowan-Dickey, in terms of his play, might have had an impact for England. But yeah, like England just looked, completely clueless in terms of, when Italy went ahead, how they're going to get back into the game. And I thought Italy managed the last couple of minutes of the game really well too. So delighted for Italy. And England, it's so weird where they've gone from, because I was tipping them before the tournament to potentially, finish certainly top two. I thought, like a lot of people, I think that game against France would be a Grand Slam decider. And they started so well, but now like they've gone down so much, it's just crazy. Thinking where they're going to go from here, and from it being Gregor Townsend being the guy who was having all the pressure on him. Now it's Borthwick instead. And again we talk about just week to week things can change so much in this tournament. But yeah, final score Italy 23, England 18. Okay. So let's have a look at the table and then we will finish up. So let me pull that up now. Right, so first we have France, 3 wins from their 4 games, but they have 4 bonus points and they have a much better points difference than any other team in the tournament. They've got a difference of 79. Scotland the next best with 21. So that's a massive difference between those two. And it's at the moment, it's worth an extra point for France. And that's, one of the big problems with the fact, 2 of the big problems really with the fact that Scotland took the foot off the gas in those last 15 minutes. Because one, had Scotland denied them a bonus point, a try bonus point in that game, then Scotland knew or would know that they go to Dublin and they win with a bonus point, they're the champions, and there's nothing that France would be able to do about it, because Scotland would be finishing on 21, and the most France could finish on would be 20. So Scotland would be the champions, if it worked like that. And then the second thing is that every point that France were scoring was basically, the same with what Scotland was scoring, is that difference was counting double, if you like, in that Scotland were gaining on France when they were leading, and France were losing their difference as well. So at one point, I think it was 47-14 or something, and let's say it finished 50 points to 14. It would mean that France would have 26 26 points difference less. So looking at that, they would be on 53, and Scotland would have 26 points more, and they would be on 47, and that would be much closer. That's, when you get to that, then Scotland would know, okay, so beat Ireland by 7 points more than France beat England would be kind of, their target there. But unfortunately, they did take their foot off the gas last 15 minutes, but still take nothing away from that Scotland performance, because again, everyone had written Scotland off in terms of the championship, and now they're right back in it. And even though it does mean that they need England to do them some kind of favour, whether that's, beating France or just denying them a bonus point, Scotland's still in the hunt. They're there in second place, 3 wins from 4 as well, and they've got 16 points, same as France. But again, that actual points difference is the difference between those two teams. Third, then Ireland. For me, the outsiders. Even though I said in the preview, the build up to this weekend as well, people were talking about, oh yeah, if Scotland can beat France, and Ireland are back in the hunt for the title. But for me, it wasn't that. It was like if Scotland beat France, Scotland are in the hunt for the title, and Ireland, are a team that absolutely need a massive favour from England to have any chance to win the title. But basically, Ireland there in third place, 3 wins from their 4 games, 14 points. So those 2 points less that they have is not getting a bonus point against Italy at home, and then not getting a bonus point against France in the first round as well. Fourth, then we have Italy, 2 wins from 4. They're on 9 points. So, they could potentially still finish 5th in the table if England beat France and they lose against Wales. But if they beat Wales, there's potential for them to finish 3rd if Ireland don't get anything in that game against Scotland. And depending on points difference, Italy could actually pip them to 3rd. Either way, if they do go on and win 3, it's going to be the first time they've ever won 3 games in 6 Nations. And again, a massive step forward for them. 5th place then, England, just 1 win from their 4 games now. Lost 3 on the bounce, and they have 6 points there. So, potentially could end up with a wooden spoon. The highest they can finish is 4th. And that depends really on who wins out of Italy and Wales, and is also dependent on England actually beating France over in Paris. And then Wales there at the bottom, 4 games, 4 losses, and just 1 point. And most people would have predicted 4 losses from the 4 games. But what they've shown in the past couple of weeks, coming close to beating Scotland, but for a bit of a brain fade for that Darcy Graham try, and then really putting up to Ireland as well, and improvements defensively. We still need to see a bit more from them on attack, but generally that's how it goes with teams, right? Is when you're in such a bad run of form, you've got to fix the defense first. You got to stop leaking tons of tries and tons of points. They seem to be making progress on that. And after that, then you start worrying about attacking and causing more problems to the opposition. As I said, they're generating some of the fastest ball of any team of the Six Nations as well. So once they do kind of get that real focus on their attack, I think they will make quick progress with that. But the problem is that at the minute is you can't be going out scoring like three, four, 5 tries and conceding 6, 7, or 8. So that's kind of where they are at the minute. But they do know that a win against Italy in the final round, with a bonus point, and they may avoid the wooden spoon. But they know that it's between themselves and England really for that wooden spoon. So looking at it kind of an overall perspective, you got 3 teams there in the hunt for the title, 2 teams battling out for the wooden spoon. Italy kind of in there in the middle, looking to, to really finish off, I think, with a statement and say, listen, all those detractors said they should be out of the tournament. No, they're here to stay. And maybe that's a herald for, in the, not too distant future, maybe Italy are going to be up there, in the mix for a potential title as well. If they keep, improving, the way they are, certainly like, it may be maybe 10 years away or 15 years away or something, but you do feel like that, the potential is there for Italy to actually have a proper tilt at the title. It may be as few as 5 years away, depending on how things go. We've seen it this year, making predictions before tournaments can be very difficult, and teams can really surprise you. And a lot of teams surprised a lot of people this year as well. And it's just great to think that, going into the final weekend now, basically every team has something to play for. As I said, 3 teams battling out for the title, 2 teams trying to avoid the wooden spoon, and then 1 team trying to have their best tournament ever. Fantastic Six Nations, and set up for a brilliant final weekend.